Europe and the West, they are behind Israel. While so many other countries, including some African countries also, they are behind Palestine. I believe they are behind Palestine because of the innocent killing. Every day we see innocent people dying, especially children dying. Children who have no history of what is going on. They don't know what is going on over the years, but they are the victim, the massive victim of this conflict. So I think that Israel said no going back until Hamas gave up. And I think if Hamas could be called back to senses and say, look, our people are dying, your people are dying, let's see what we can do, I think there will be peace at sight.
Yeah, that's the question of, whether or not what Israel is also asking for is achievable. The possibility of Hamas surrendering to Israel is something that perhaps will take a miracle to happen when you consider the history behind it all. And, both parties claiming that this is our land, and then they are making reference to the injustices that have happened, in that part of the country, largely, on the part of Palestine. But what do you think happens going forward, particularly when you consider the position of United States in all of this? The U.S. support for Israel is based on the two-state solution. Well, the last time we heard from Benjamin Netanyahu, who's prime minister, it doesn't seem that the Israeli elite seem to buy the idea of them coexisting with the other country.
Yes, from, like you said, Benjamin Netanyahu and the elites. But let's look at the common man in Israel. Don't forget, these people, they coexist. When you go to Jerusalem, when you go to Tel Aviv, these two group of people, religious people, they coexist. They work together. Even in offices, they work together. Therefore, we should look beyond just the elite. I would want the entire world, the global community, to look at the possibility of impressing it on Hamas to step down. I don't think that is going to be a defeat anyway. We're talking about, don't forget, there is a prophetic undertone in these happenings in Gaza and the West Bank. Whether the world come together to stand on one ground, you cannot beat the Creator. The internal purpose of God must be fulfilled. God said this is how it's going to be. Let me tell you what is going on here has prophetic undertone. There's a prophecy in the holy books, both holy books. There's a prophetic statement that such and such will happen at such time in the history of creation. So whether we like it or not, whether we take sides or not, what God says is exactly what will happen.
Interesting way you've put it, but you begin to wonder if the world is just paying lip service to the issue of humanitarian crisis. Because if 20,000 people have died in the region, I mean, one would think that the whole world should be speaking with one language in the direction of peace and ensuring that we provide some succor, especially for those who have been terribly affected by this crisis. But let's talk about how you think this impacts on Christmas this year. Is it a solemn Christmas globally based on the fact that Christmas has even been cancelled in Bethlehem, where Jesus was born, largely because of the crisis in Gaza? And many of the people who live there have a close relationship with those who are now suffering in that region.
Yes, let me just go back to that issue briefly if I come to the Christmas. You see, we say there are nations who are complicit in this conflict, in this crisis in the Middle East. The crisis is going beyond just Palestine. It's going to other nations in that region. Lebanon, the Hezbollah are started fighting. I listened to the president of Turkey, and he said he's going to, if something's not done as soon as possible, he's going to invade Israel. Syria is there, Jordan is there, Egypt is watching also, because don't forget the humanitarian problems is affecting Egypt more. Egypt is receiving more people. Sometimes they even close their border not to receive people. So let's go beyond just the nations surrounding the Israel and Palestine. And one thing I want to mention is that when the conflict started initially, I was asking myself, why is it that Abbas, the PLO, remember, Hamas is just a tiny population of Palestine. Some people say they are terrorist organization, which the world say no, they are not a terrorist organization, but it's just a minute population of the Palestine. When the war started, I listened carefully. I was watching Abbas. Why is he not speaking? Is he happy that, has Hamas been a threat to his administration? But this issue, I don't want to go into it today, but it's an issue we have to look at, some of that time, because it's just, if you don't mind, of recent that Abbas started shouting vow, but initially he was silent. I would love to know why was this silence.
Just a minute, let's take David's call from Kafanchan. Hi, David. Merry Christmas. Oh, Chidi. Chidi, please go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning, Nifemi. Compliments of the season.
Wish you the same.
And good morning to your guests.
Good morning. Happy Christmas.
As a matter of fact, the current problem in Gaza and Israel has really impacted so negatively on this year's Christmas. Why it is so is because the fact remains that Christ, who is the reason for this very season, was given birth to in Bethlehem. And if the world must enjoy a peaceful and a conducive Christmas, I do not think that what is happening in Gaza and Israel should be happening. Therefore, in my own humble submission, I would wish that the world leaders will come together, synergize their efforts, and do whatever that is needful to bring peace and stability in these places, because there is no how they can live without intermingling with each other. May God bless Nigeria. May God bless the entire world, particularly the Christian community, as they celebrate Christmas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chidi, for your contribution. Talking about the Christian community, how concerned do you think churches have shown to the development in that part? Because Christians usually would, claim Israeli heritage, by faith. Are there concerns? Are there prayers going on? Are there also, do you think that the Christian community is also being enlightened about the importance of peace and also being educated on the reality of what's happening there?
Sure, absolutely. The Christian community all over the world, including Nigeria, will be praying for peace in the region. And not just only in Gaza and West Bank and Israel, we're praying for peace in the entire region, because if that region is devastated, it becomes a global problem. Even before, the Israeli-Palestinian war came up, there was a war between, and there's still a war between Russia and Ukraine that impacted negatively on the economies of so many other countries. And now Israel also is a country giving a lot of whatever they have to the entire world. Remember, Israel is an agric nation, and a lot of foods also come from Israel. So with the war, it's affecting the entire world, including Christians and Muslims and non-traditional religion or whatever philosophical beliefs. But you see, what we have to realize here is that prayer is needed, and prayer is ongoing. Whereas we are looking for political solution, we should also be looking for a spiritual solution, because both Christians and Muslims, Jews, Hindus, and whatever, it's God that created us, and they all claim to be worshiping God. So all of us, irrespective of your beliefs, let's cry to the Creator for peace.
Chukwudi has called in from Ebonyi. Merry Christmas, Chukwudi. Chukwudi, are you there? We'll probably get back to that call. So how do you marry the place of praying and then the place of prophecy? Because I've also heard many say that there are scriptural injunctions that towards the end of time, we're going to hear more of wars and crises of this nature.
Yeah.
So can you pray prophecy not to be fulfilled, or there is a misinterpretation taking place somewhere in between?
Okay. You can't pray of prophecy. What God says will exist or will be, will be. Nonetheless, what if what is happening now is not timely? Because sometimes we can misinterpret God. God's time is not our time. God says, my ways are not your ways. So sometimes we can misinterpret God's calendar, God's internal calendar. So whether it is God's calendar or not, let us call upon God. God, is it your will? If it's your will, look at what is going on. Don't forget, you see, as a student of theology, we're told that the Antichrist will come. What will bring about the Antichrist? Because the world will have no peace. The entire world will be looking for peace, peace, peace. When everybody's crying for peace, the Antichrist will now emerge to promise peace. And it's going to bring momentous peace. Listen, I didn't want to go to history today. When I read history years back, I taught history, Christian history, theological history of the Christian faith. And I told people years back, some 32 years ago, I was a bit younger then, that there's going to come up a war between Gog and Magog, which is scriptural. And when you look at Gog, in historical map, it was, and it is, Russia. And that Russia is going to fight with a nation that came out of it. And the country they call America in the Bible was called a country with mixed tongue and mixed culture. There was no America in the Bible then. There was no Russia. There was Gog as Russia. And there was a country called a country with mixed tongues. That is the American city, the American Jews, the American Nigeria, American Ghana. That this country, America, will, with the West, are going to stand on one side. Countries like China, North Korea, we stand with
Russia.
With Russia.
Just hold that thought a minute. Let's take a quick call from Tijani. Tijani has called in from Lagos. Hi, Tijani, are you there?